Huh. Well, this is one of the weirder things I've made my... Wait. You're here too early. Cut back in time. 2 people in the comments are each gonna get... Has anyone else out there used that goofy app, Wish? You know, where you can order stuff that takes like 2 months to ship, but it's all super cheap and there's lots of clothes, but also lots of goofy, cool, ridiculous nerd stuff on there? Well, the other week I bought something on there. Something that I've been waiting to make a video on for a while, but you know, I teased it in my last episode. Let's pop over to the booster rack and grab it.
Not you. Excuse me, Hellboy. Let's take a grab at this guy.
Yes, this. Now this is a pack of tons and tons of bootleg Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I'm quite certain they're bootleg because there are some weird spelling errors on the package, and presumably there's more spelling errors inside, and it was like 20 bucks for, I don't know, 250 cards or something, so it's gotta be bootleg. And I don't totally know what all I'm gonna do with it, but I know the first thing I'm gonna do is find 2 cool or ridiculous or goofy creatures and do a mashup of them. After that, we'll see what inspires me. Okay, let's see what we get in here. I feel like this was supposed to be, like, nice looking, so it could sit open in a store or something, but I messed that up for sure. All right, let's get the box out of the way. As Jeff Goldblum would say,
that is one big pile of shit.
I really do like this artwork. This is super cool looking. I haven't seen this pack before. Let's crack it open and see what kind of stuff we can mash up. This material is so thin and cheap feeling. Wait a minute. There's supposed to be 9 cards per pack, and there was only 8 cards in there. Look at that! The bootleg packs are already ripping us off even more. You know, I'm not really feeling that inspired by any of these. I mean, this one's kinda cool, and I think it's a pretty popular, recognizable card. Not convinced they have the name right, maybe they do, but that one's kinda... You know what, let's do a mashup of these 2. Now, this character ends up looking a lot like a sort of Iron Man mixed with the Vulture sort of character. Like the Vulture's sort of wings, because I take the metal kind of elements from Cyber End Dragon, and his wings turned green end up looking very much like the Vulture's wings from Spider-Man Homecoming, and then I give a sort of Iron Man chest and arms and armor sort of look, and then mostly from Palladian of the Sacred Tree, I end up keeping the coloring and I make the character female, and I really like the green hair. I make her hair a little bit more of a neon green to contrast with a bit of the duller green that I have on the rest of the suit and armor and stuff, and I try to line the suit with some lines of that neon green to make the character pop a bit more. Besides that, I do a bit more simple rendering than usual. I don't do that sort of light brushing with my the salted watercolor brush that I often do to make things a little bit more detailed. So this one ends up being a cartoonier rendering and feels a little bit more like a warm-up, but really I do end up liking the look and the pose of this character. She's kind of menacing looking and tough, and a cool mix of fantasy but also sci-fi. And now we're coming up on the end, so let's take a look at the final version of Cyber End Palladian. Alright, so at least we're managing to make some decent artwork out of this bootleg nonsense. But, you know, what I think I'm gonna do next, instead of mashing up 2 different characters out of here, let's work the community art in a little bit. I'm gonna go through some of the sci-fi submissions that I didn't draw from the community sci-fi submission episode, and I'm gonna mash a character from that up with whatever next cool character I come across in these packs. So let's open up some more and do another mashup. Oh, look at this. We got the guy that's on some of the actual card packs. Where is he? Alright. So I think we're probably going to have to do something with that. Okay, well, these 3 are all pretty cool, but I think I'm going to have to go with this one, because, you know, it's on the packs. So let's mash up Regalix Palladian with some art from the Discord. So I was glad that I finally got to Kai the Cinnamon Roll's art, because this piece had stood out to me from the sci-fi submission episode, but it just wasn't one of the ones I managed to get to. As I said in that episode, I wanted to get some more characters, but I just didn't have time because it was a busy month. But yeah, this is a cool character. It kind of reminds me of one of the characters from Digimon a little bit, just because it's got the goggles and the similar hair. But I love the vest, it's cool looking. I like the check mark, I like the coloring, the red and the really, really dark blue jacket. And most of this character ends up being from Kai's original design. And the stuff I end up adding to it from Regalix Palladian is the, I give him sort of the claw arms, like I don't know, like, it looks like something out of an anime that someone just suited up part of their body, like the arms and the mask. I took elements from Regalix Palladian's face and put it on Kai's face, got rid of his goggles, even though I liked that element, and replaced it with a sort of mask of Regalix Palladian. And then besides that, I pretty much just gave him fire around his neck. What is it? His big collar. I replaced the collar with sort of a bit of flames, and besides that, I kept it pretty similar. Oh, and I guess I added a blue line down the character's legs, because Regalix Palladian has some sort of blue strips around a bunch of different parts of his body. But in the end, this one ends up being pretty simple, and mostly it ends up just being Kai's character with a few extra tweaks added to it. So let's take a look at the final version of Kai's character wearing some Regalix Palladian armor. Alright, that's pretty cool too. Thank you, Kai the Cinnamon Roll, for submitting that. I hope you're cool with me using your character in this episode instead of the sci-fi submission episode. Anyway, let's crack open some more of these cards. I got another idea, because I'm feeling a little bit opening all these fake cards. So what I was thinking we could do is open a pack of real cards from something else and do a mashup with a character from that. Classic booster art challenge style. So we are going to open a pack of Pokémon Sun and Moon Team Up. Let's start by opening this up, pick a character out of here to mash up, and then we'll open some more Yu-Gi-Oh packs and see who we're gonna mash them up with. Let's go. Unlisted Leaf always does this, shows the code. If anybody wants it, they can have it. I don't really play the online game, so you can have this. Here you go. Okay. Now let's see who we're getting. Oh, baby! Sorry, everybody, no competition. I don't have any Tyranitar cards. This is super cool. We're definitely gonna mash this up, because I think the rest of these... Oh, okay, that's cool too. Oh, no, come on! We got a Charmeleon in here as well? I think I'm gonna have to go with Tyranitar. Let's see what we get in the Yu-Gi-Oh packs. I'm gonna keep both of these guys right over here. Oh, right, they're fake. Ugh. I forgot for a second that these cards were fake, so that kind of just blew my mind. But you know what? We can't not mash this one up. Blue Eyes White Dragon, are you kidding me? Now this was a fun one because I really love both of these characters, Blue Eyes and Tyranitar. They're so cool. Blue Eyes is one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Tyranitar is one of my favorite Pokemon, so this mashup was a lot of fun. It ends up looking kinda like just a chubby Blue Eyes with no wings, like a sorta Chungus Blue Eyes, if you will, I suppose. Ooh, was that a bad joke? This is probably a bad joke. Anyway, I'm gonna keep it in. One thing I really like about Blue Eyes is his his eyes are kind of like emeralds, or not emeralds, emeralds are green, like some kind of gem. Like they don't have a pupil, which makes it sort of creepy. It kind of looks like they have a pupil because of the white reflection in the eye, but and maybe that's supposed to be the pupil, I'm not totally sure. Either way, I think his eyes are super cool looking is what I'm getting at, and I like how he's got a lot of a shine to him. Like he's all kind of a reflective surface, as if he's very metallic, but a kind of bioorganic metallic texture. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it's super cool looking. So really what I end up doing is just taking the texture and the body parts of Blue Eyes, and I put them onto Tyranitar. And I think that ends up being a pretty cool and sort of more menacing than intended looking creature. So let's take a look at the final version of that. Okay. You know what, I was a little bit down on this episode earlier, but it's coming around. I'm enjoying myself now. That was a fun drawing. But you know what, I do want to mash up this Charmeleon with someone just because I really like Charmeleon, and then I've got an idea for what I'm going to do with all of these crazy bootleg YuGiOh cards. I'm going to make some physical art out of these things. After this mashup, let's do another. Have got a lot of really cool dragons here. There's a lot of cool stuff in here, but I think this goofy little guy would be a fun thing to mash up Charmeleon with. He kind of almost looks a bit like I think we're gonna have to go with this. Now when you get to the end of this one, you'll see that it ends up looking a lot more like a Charizard than a Charmeleon, because they're, similar looking already, but I add the wings onto the character because of Dragunticu's got wings, and that makes it pretty Charizard looking. I basically make it a sort of Charmeleon Charizard kind of character with some of the armor elements from Dragunticu's. That's a hard name to say. Dragunticu's. Yeah, I add some of his armor onto a Charmeleon, add the wings, and then it ends up kind of looking like some concept art I saw for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I don't know if it was official artwork or not, but where Charizard has some armor on him. Probably wasn't real, but I don't know, we'll see eventually. And then onto this one, it ends up not having as much texture as I was hoping, so partway through I end up going in and cropping out a part of the body and doing a light brushing in with my watercolor brush just to add a little bit of a sort of stripy tiger-ish almost texture to him that ends up making this character look a little bit like the Mewtwo's Charizard from the first Pokemon movie. You know how he makes his own clone Pokemon and a bunch of them have some extra texture lines and stuff to them. But besides that, I think my favorite part of this one is just the pose. It's kind of cool looking, like he's fleeing a little bit from the battle but also shooting some fire down at it. And I think that, more so than the rendering, is the most interesting part of this piece. So with all that said, let's take a final look at the Charmeleon Dragunticu's mashup. Okay, you know, I like a bunch of the art that I've done in this episode, but I don't love any of it. So here's what I'm thinking for the wrap-up, for the big final piece of art. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to open the rest of these packs of cards, leaving 4 to the side for something else, and I am going to tape them together into this big kind of crazy mural to be the background for the final drawing, and the final drawing will be of the coolest creature in the entire set. As decided by me, that is. It's my opinion of what the coolest creature is. Also, as a side note, these last 4 packs, I'm going to send to people in the comments. 2 people in the comments are each gonna get sent 2 packs of cards, as well as a signed art postcard by me. Now, with these packs, you can do what you want with them, but it would be super awesome if you did a random booster art challenge. You can either film it or just do it and take a picture. What you do is you open both packs, pick a creature from each, mash them up. You can send me the art. If you send me the artwork, I'll make sure to feature it in an upcoming episode, and that'd be awesome. But if you don't want to do the challenge, you can just have these bootleg cards to do what you want with, and the signed postcard. But anyway, without any more delay, let's get on to the final piece of art. Okay, now look, I'm definitely bringing in biases from my childhood because I grew up watching the first 1 or 2 seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! But I got so many variations of Blue Eyes White Dragon, and I think he's just so cool. And as a kid, I had such a hard time drawing him that I I think I've just got to go with Blue Eyes White Dragon for the main character of this piece. So I'm going to gear up to draw him, but first let's start taping together this hodgepodge of cards.
This is actually pretty cool looking. Now let's get a Blue Eyes White Dragon right here.
Before we commence with the artwork, I kind of just wanted to see if I could throw this thing. Let's see. Whoa. Oh. I thought it would go like a frisbee. That didn't work. Let's try again. Whoa. 3. I guess not. My bad. Okay, let's go to the art. Now, of all the pieces I do today, this is the one that I'm really happy with. Like, I just took more time to make this one great. Because as I said, when I was a kid, I had a really hard time drawing Blue Eyes, and so I just wanted to do justice to young me and be like, look, I can draw this guy now. And in drawing him, I realized why he was such a hard character to draw when I was a kid. There's a lot of stuff that drawing it in perspective is difficult, and when you're first learning to draw, that's something that can be really difficult. So I also tried to lean into the, hey, I'm better at perspective now, and have him kind of flying right at the camera and coming toward us, and his body is kind of swirling back a little bit, his tail curves, and so one of the elements that's hard to draw in perspective when you're not any good at it yet is the sort of spike things that he's got on either side of his mouth, because the triangular spike kind of things, pointing them towards the camera can be kind of difficult. Even nowadays, I still have trouble with it a bit. And then also just his body is built up of a bunch of sort of blocky shapes that aren't squares or cubes or anything. They're sort of a rounded but then sharp at points kind of shape. I'm not explaining it well, but by looking at it you can see what I mean, and those definitely would be hard to draw in perspective even now. Like I said, I even had some troubles with this character now, but I do end up thinking this is one of the better drawings of a dragon I've done in a while, and the fact that it's blue eyes just felt really good. As I've mentioned in the last couple videos, I love when a character is one consistent color lately, because I can do a big spread of a nice gradient, and this one going from a really light blue near the center of his face, spreading out across his body, turning into a much darker blue, and I think that ends up looking really cool. Near the end of the piece, I end up cranking the saturation up a little bit just to emphasize it a little bit more, and overall I just love everything about this one. I tried to do the wings a little bit more in perspective coming towards us than they end up being a little bit more flat faced out, but I don't really mind how it looks. I still think it's pretty cool looking. Also, when I get towards the end and I go to add him onto the background, I'd wanted to print this guy off and actually stick a version of him on the art, but I couldn't get a print done fast enough to do it for this video, so I just didn't end up doing that. And I had thought he was going to be a lot smaller on the piece, but because the background is so detailed with so many pieces of artwork, I end up having to scale him up a bunch more and have his wings kind of spreading out the side. I also made sure to put a white outline around his wings just to make sure that he stood out a little bit more. But anyway, really happy with this piece, so let's take a look at the final version of Blue Eyes surrounded by bootleg Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Now that is some art I feel like I can be happy with. That is pretty cool looking. Thanks so much for watching Popcross Studios, everybody. If you like this, please leave a like and a comment. And remember, 2 people in the comments are going to get a couple booster packs sent their way and a signed art postcard by me. So leave your comments below. And that's all for this episode. Oh, and just doing another shout out to Cohen Calmer, who's also done a random booster art challenge. If you do one of these, I'll be sure to shout you out in one of my episodes. So hopefully the people that get these decide to do one. Alright, everybody. I'm Christian Pearson of Popcross Studios. Thanks so much for stopping by. I will see you next Monday. Goodbye.